The next day, they were scheduled to film a commercial. Tanging was supposed to film with a few other models, however. The photographer felt Tanging's presence was too strong. If there were too many people, they would only serve as a contrast to accentuate her. So, in the end, only one male model remained. Early in the morning, Longji knocked on Tanging's room door. However, when Tanging came to open the door, she appeared to be hiding something, not allowing Longji to enter. Longji immediately looked at Tanging as she asked, "Is there someone else in the room?" "Tanging, how could you be like this? Although you have split up with that jerk, you only just got married to Mo Ting. How could you mess around like this? Let me in, let me in. Let me see who's so brave to seduce my precious Tanging." Longji was a bit agitated. With her strength, she appeared to be ready to push open the door. However, at this time, Mo Ting reached out his hand to stop it. His tall and fit physique shrouded the two. "Big boss, it's you." Longji was stunned as she laughed awkwardly. Mo Ting glanced at Longji briefly. His gaze carried a sense of approval because, with her around, Mo Ting would be rested assured no man could get close to Tang Ning. So, without a word, he headed into the bathroom to shower. After seeing him leave, Longji rested on Tanging's arm as she spoke. "Why didn't you tell me earlier? You made me embarrass myself in front of such an important person. I only found out last night when I returned to the room." Tanging shrugged innocently. "Oh God, he's so romantic. Someone as busy as President Mo actually caught a direct flight to a place like this to keep you company. Tanging, your luck really has changed. Thinking about all those years you've spent with that jerk. When did he ever visit you at your work?" Longji lit up. Indeed, there is a difference between different people. "Are we still going to the location of the shooting?" Tanging reminded. Even though she acted like she didn't care the night before. "Is President Mo coming?" "He should be coming," Tanging whispered. Mo Ting had come all this way. Of course he couldn't miss watching Tanging's performance. The show at Haiyi Center was already unforgettable. He was looking forward to seeing how Tanging would perform at an outdoor shoot. 30 minutes later, the three of them arrived at the location of the shooting. Because he couldn't reveal his identity, Mo Ting could only watch from afar. Tanging stepped out of the changing room in a light blue lace dress which hugged her curvy body, highlighting her positive attributes, especially her long, slender legs which looked like they had no limits. She looked perfect, like a sculpturist's work of art. The theme for today's shoot was a bride chasing a runaway groom. While chasing, the bride injures her legs without the groom noticing. In the end, the sparkling diamonds on the bride's hand creates a beautiful rainbow from the reflections of the sun's rays awakening the groom to the promises he made to the bride. Finally, the groom returns and the couple reconciles. Tanging, the emotions today changed quite a lot. Are you okay with that? The photographer from the previous day had become today's director, and he asked Tanging out of duty. No problems. Tanging gently nodded. The director made an okay gesture towards her before reminding her to get into position. Should we do a quick run over? It's not necessary. Tanging straightforwardly turned down the director's suggestion. If he hadn't worked with Tanging before, the director might have doubted Tanging's abilities. But after seeing her professionalism the previous day, the director had complete trust in her. Hence, after she said it wasn't necessary, they just went ahead and started filming. Because the entire commercial had no script and took up only 30 seconds, the models were required to get into the right emotional state really quickly. The scene they were about to film was the one where Tanging would be chasing, so the expressions on her face had to show a sense of urgency, starting off looking hopeful and slowly changing to despair as she realizes she can't catch up. The filming was about to start without the help of anyone. Tanging found her position in front of the camera. As soon as the slate clapped down, Tanging disappeared. In her place stood an abandoned bride looking around helplessly searching. Her eyes reddened, but no tears fell out. Most importantly, after running, she was detailed enough to add in some panting. Her emotions increased as she continued searching. The urgency on her face looked like she was almost at the brink of falling apart. Mo Ting watched from afar. He realized Tanging was like a most covered gem. No wonder, 3 years ago, she was able to come out on top. If she had never retreated back then, right now, how successful would she be? President Mo, our Tanging isn't bad, is she? Longji's eyes contained an unconcealable pride. If only she wasn't held back by that jerk. From now on, no one will hold her back. Mo Ting responded coolly as he stepped his tall figure back into the car. Longji smiled knowingly because she knew Tanging wasn't going to give anyone the chance to hold her back ever again. And of course, she was even more convinced by the man in the car because he was the owner of an empire. Because of Tanging's professionalism, the shooting ran smoothly, saving the director half a daytime. The director was extremely impressed by Tanging, so he tried to offer her a solution to her rumored problems. I heard your current company has no idea how to plan out your career. Are you interested in stepping out onto a bigger stage? Tanging took the business card from the director's hands, but refused politely as usual. I am happy where I am right now. The director didn't pressure Tanging as he smiled at her. Even so, we will always welcome you. Tanging thanked him and started to head towards Mo Ting. But Longji suddenly flew towards her holding out her phone exclaiming. Just then, there was a woman called Lin Wei that called, proclaiming she is the new manager Han Yufan has arranged for you. She also said, after you are finished with your shooting, you should return because Han Yufan has organized for you to make an appearance at an event. The date of the event will be 3 days from now. I've just done some research on the brand. Even though it isn't an unbranded product, many consumers have complained about them for years. Han Yufan obviously wants to destroy you. Tanging grabbed her phone from Longji as she remained calm. Let's head back first. We'll talk later. This is something you've worked hard towards. If you accept this job, all you've done would go to waste. Longji's heart broke for Tanging. Longji, do you think I haven't prepared for something like this? Tanging sneered. She didn't expect Han Yufan to actually give up on the Tang family's background and choose Mo Yuru. I've said before, being in the lead and not being in the lead is only a word of difference. The two outcomes are only separated by a thin line. I won't play the wrong cards again. Not far away, Mo Ting was sitting in the car. Their eyes met and they both smiled at each other. After Tanging boarded the car, Mo Ting handed his phone over to her. I asked Lu Qing to search through the database for information regarding this lady called Lin Wei. Who will be your new manager? Her resume and dark past is all in here. You also know about the event Han Yufan arranged for me? Tanging turned to look at Longji questioningly, thinking she must have told Mo Ting. However, Longji quickly waved her hands, signaling this had nothing to do with her. In this industry, as long as I want to find out, I can find out anything. By now, Tanging was no longer surprised. How else did Mo Ting manage to climb to the top? So she smiled at him. Don't worry, you've already handed me the sword to kill my enemies. I will definitely finish it off satisfactorily. Mo Ting didn't respond. He just simply reached out his hand to touch Tanging's hair. Upon seeing their actions, Longji got goosebumps all over. These two, they've only gotten married not long ago. But how come they resemble a married couple that has been married for years? After the shooting was completed, the three of them returned to Beijing. On board the plane, Tanging and Mo Ting leaned on each other affectionately. But as soon as the plane landed, they went their separate ways like strangers. Han Yufan had sent the new manager, Lin Wei, to pick them up from arrivals. At the exit, the female manager, Lin Wei, stood waiting. Not only was she wearing a light purple chiffon dress, standing on 10-inch high heels and wearing sunglasses, she was also looking continuously at the watch on her wrist. Her whole body exuded a sense of impatience, like as if the roles were reversed and she was an international superstar, waiting to be picked up instead. Tanging noticed a sign with her name on it placed beside Lin Wei's feet. She decided to ignore it and headed straight out of the airport with Long Ji. Long Ji gave a muffled laugh, Tanging's slowly developing her own temper. Halfway through their journey, Tanging received a phone call from Linwei. Tanging, where are you? Isn't your flight supposed to arrive at 12? I'm already on the way back to the office. Tanging replied calmly. Didn't you see me when you came out of arrivals? I saw you. Tanging remained calm, not showing even the slightest emotion. Then why didn't you come to me? Lin Wei was furious. You were wearing sunglasses. I thought you were at the airport to perform a show. Tanging replied sarcastically. Lin Wei's face was turning red from anger as she hung up the phone and rushed back to the office. She started off in the industry early, but her eyes were extremely short-sighted. Even though she had helped make a few artists famous, they always ended up either offending the powerful or being sent to rehab. So, as a manager, she didn't have a very good reputation in the industry. As for this time, Lin Wei was requested by Mo Yuru because she obviously wanted Lin Wei to handle Tanging for her. But who would have expected? Without even getting to see Tanging, she was made to look like a fool first. She was determined not to give up. After all, Tanging was, at most, an outdated model. How dare she not show any respect? 20 minutes later, Tanging arrived back at the office first. Upon entering the main entrance of Tianyi Entertainment, she headed straight for Han Yufan's room and threw the door open. I'm waiting for your explanation, Tanging exclaimed as she slammed both hands on the table. So, there really is something happening between you and Mo Yuru? Han Yufan stopped what he was doing, hesitated for a moment, then sneakily changed the subject. You just landed. How come you came straight here? How long has it been? Tanging continued with the same subject. How long have you and Mo Yuru been together? Tanging. Han Yufan suddenly yelled, I've had enough of you. Do you know how annoying you are? Can't you do stuff that men like Yuru? What woman nags every day like you? Tanging slowly pulled back her hands and looked at Han Yufan questioningly. What do you two think I am, a toy? Tanging, let's break up. I am indeed with Yuru, and we are truly in love. Han Yufan spoke to Tanging like he was talking to a stranger that had no relation to him. You shouldn't blame me. There is no explanation for love. From now on, we merely have a subordinate and superior relationship. I am your boss, and you are my employee. Tanging sneered as she raised one corner of her lips. She was calmer than Han Yufan expected. So, I guess you're not planning to release me from my contract? You must assume, if you were to let me go, Mo Yuru would never succeed. Sorry, you still have to wait 3 years. Is this why you have organized for me to appear at that event? Tanging continued to question. For your current status, this event suits you perfectly. After speaking, Han Yufan returned to sit on his chair and flip through some documents. If there isn't anything else, you can leave. Also, Lin Wei is your manager. From now on, you must follow her orders. Her 5 years of fantasy were all wasted on a jerk. Tanging couldn't say her heart didn't hurt, but at this moment, she felt angry more. Do you know what happens to unfaithful people? They won't have a happy ending. After saying these words, Tanging turned around and left Han Yufan's office. Of course, her determination to make Tianyi disappear from the entertainment industry for good was stronger than ever. Tanging returned to her room. Meanwhile, Lin Wei had just returned from the airport without knocking. She walked straight into the room pointing at Tanging and yelling, Are you aware that from now on, you are my artist? Do you still want to be a model and take jobs? How dare you treat me like this? Are you a pig? Upon hearing these words, Tanging suddenly got up out of her seat and slowly stepped towards Lin Wei. Repeat what you said. What were your last 4 words? I asked if you are a pig. Lin Wei repeated herself arrogantly. As soon as the last word left her mouth, Tanging's slap had already landed on her face. This slap is to put you back in line. Lin Wei was stunned. Her eyes widened as she prepared to fight back. However, Tanging pulled out her phone and handed it to her. I have plenty of indecent photos like this in my phone because of the 4 words you just said. I've decided to send them to the 4 biggest media companies. Lin Wei froze for a moment, not quite understanding what tanging meant, until she looked down at the screen to see a photo of her seducing a director. Her brain suddenly went blank. This can't be. How could tanging have these photos? She was so careful. This was impossible. It had to be fake. I know Mo Yuru is behind all this. If you hadn't gone overboard, I wouldn't have bothered dealing with a simple manager like you. But you don't seem to know who you're messing with. Lin Wei started to get scared as her hands began to tremble. If she had known tanging was holding this information against her, she definitely wouldn't have agreed to Mo Yuru's request of making things difficult for tanging. So her face immediately changed as she knelt down. Tanging, I didn't mean to treat you like this. Please don't release the photos. I will be over if you do. Tanging looked down at Lin Wei. The following words. I will only say once. I will not attack those that don't attack me first. But if someone attacks me, I will make it impossible for them to return from the depths of hell. From today onwards, do your job well and I'll do mine. If you want to scheme and play games, I'm happy to play along. But the consequences won't be as simple as releasing these few photos. Tanging at this moment was vicious and domineering. Lin Wei didn't know how to react. Didn't they say tanging was a pushover? I understand. I know what I should and shouldn't do. Lin Wei was completely intimidated by the look on Tanging's face. After letting out some anger, Tanging's emotions pretty much returned to her normal calmness, and her tone of voice was once again indifferent as she questioned Lin Wei. When do I have to appear on stage at the event? You're going. Lin Wei couldn't understand what Tanging was thinking. Just tell me when, Tanging repeated. The corners of Lin Wei's eyes were still teary. Wiping them away, she slowly stood up. She thought for a moment before responding to Tanging. 26th, next Wednesday. Are you still being told by Mo Yuru to reject all my jobs? Tanging guessed. Note down every single one and keep every single email from every single client for evidence. Next Wednesday, I will use them. Tanging ordered calmly. If you still have a sense of judgment, you will know. Following me is more promising than following Mo Yuru. Just on the fact that she is a mistress alone, she will never get the chance to step onto the international stage. After hearing these words, Lin Wei thought about why Mo Yuru had been getting into trouble so often lately. While Tanging's popularity was on the rise, she realized it was because all along, Mo Yuru had relied on acting weak and gaining sympathy. Meanwhile, Tanging was using Mo Yuru as a stepping stone to make a comeback. Lin Wei weighed the pros and cons and decided it would be best to follow Tanging. I will help you prepare everything. Tanging nodded as she started to leave, but just as she reached the doorway, she seemed to have remembered something as she turned to warn Lin Wei. If you don't have the ability to manage a PR crisis, then don't do anything scandalous for me to clean up after you. Put simply, if she couldn't avoid having photos taken of her, she shouldn't have gone around seducing someone she shouldn't have. Lin Wei's face turned pale. It was the first time she had come across an artist who had planned so far ahead, without anyone knowing. From the looks of it, apart from seducing men, Mo Yuru really didn't have anything else going for her. In fact, she was unknowingly waiting for Tanging to send Tianyi entertainment packing. Coming out of the building, the day was still young. Tanging returned to her car with a tired look on her face. Upon seeing her, Longji was extremely heartbroken. Did you have an argument with Han Yufan? Han Yufan asked to break up. Tanging replied calmly as she leaned her head back and slowly closed her eyes. She appeared to be trying to hide her emotions. Longji, did you know when Han Yufan spoke those words? It sounded like he was reading from a textbook. He even wants to freeze my jobs for 3 years. That jerk. How can he be so disgraceful? Isn't he afraid of being struck by lightning? Longji protested as she turned sideways. Seeing Tanging suffering, she reached out her hand to comfort her, patting her gently on the arm. Do not allow a man like that to make you feel bad, especially since you are going to make that jerk pay everything back tenfold. I'm not capable of controlling my emotions completely yet. Take me home, Tanging requested in a gentle whisper. Okay'd have some rest, Tanging knew. Judging by Han Yufan's cold and careless attitude, he wasn't going to stop at making her attend rubbish events like this. All it would take was one word from Mo Yuru, and he would be able to do something even worse. She had to find a way to destroy Mo Yuru's plans of standing in her way. By the time Mo Ting arrived home, it was already 8 p.m. at night. However, today, he didn't smell the aroma of dinner being served. All he felt was a cold chill. At first, he thought Tanging hadn't arrived home yet, but as he entered the bedroom, he saw her lying quietly in bed. No need to explain. She must have been treated unfairly today. Mo Ting walked over and sat on the edge of the bed upon sensing the familiar presence. Tanging immediately sat up and hugged him. If you want to cry, then cry. You will feel better. Mo Ting gently patted Tanging's shoulder. Tanging had been holding it in all day, but after being comforted by Mo Ting, she immediately let go and burst out crying. Sorry, I promised I wouldn't cry over unworthy things. It's okay. Cry apart from me. Who else would you be able to show your true self to? Mo Ting encouraged. Maybe because Mo Ting's hands were so gentle. Or maybe because Mo Ting was older than Tanging by 7 years and exuded a sense of safety and maturity. Tanging cried in Mo Ting's embrace for a long time until no tears were left. Better? Mo Ting asked. Yep. Tanging freed herself from Mo Ting's embrace. You mustn't have eaten yet. I'll go cook without doing anything else. Mo Ting grabbed hold of Tanging's chin and used all his strength to press his lips firmly against hers. Not only did he want to kiss away her tears, but he also wanted to use this special moment to comfort the hurt woman in his arms. A kiss was the best medicine and best painkiller. The couple kissed so passionately. The world felt like it was spinning as they tried to catch their breaths. Tanging, I hope that no matter if you are happy or sad, I would be the first person you would turn to. I don't care how many masks you are wearing on the outside. Once you are home, we have to face each other truthfully. We should be like a normal married couple. We only need each other. Mo Ting wiped away the tears on Tanging's cheeks as he stood up. I've said before, you aren't allowed in the kitchen anymore. Tanging saw Mo Ting turning to leave, so she quickly grabbed onto him. I need you. I need you right now. I need you to stay with me. Hug me, kiss me, I need energy to kiss you. Tanging stopped crying, removed her blankets to get out of bed, and held onto Mo Ting's hand. Then I'll keep you company. The couple had an enjoyable dinner and showered. After returning to bed, Mo Ting leaned against the headboard and read some documents while Tanging tried to sleep. But no matter what she did, she couldn't fall asleep. What's wrong? I can't sleep. Can you read me a book? Tanging peeped out from under the blanket and pleaded Mo Ting. Only in front of Mo Ting did she not remain emotionless. She also didn't have to be calm and capable like she was in front of Long Ji. In front of Mo Ting, she was completely a little wife, a wife that needed to be spoiled. Of course, in front of Tanging, Mo Ting also didn't have to be the Mo Ting everyone knew. If she was his subordinate, he would have thrown his documents in her face. But the person before him was Tanging. So he picked a book from the bookshelf and returned to the bed. He wrapped Tanging in his arms as the two of them opened the book together and started reading. This was such a simple gesture, but it turned out Han Yufan the jerk would have never done something like this for Tanging. Who would have thought it would turn out to be the king of the entertainment industry that would be willing to experience such a silly thing with her? The scars in her heart felt like they were slowly being healed. It was not long before Tanging fell asleep in Mo Ting's arms, and as usual, she slept sweetly. The next morning, the air was slightly humid. Tanging was awoken by the sound of her phone ringing. It was Lin Wei. Her voice was a lot gentler than the previous day. Tanging, I just arrived at your house, but only your assistant is home. I've moved. I came to tell you, after President Han announced you would be appearing at the corporate event, the fans you gained are now in an uproar. They are arguing intensely amongst themselves. They said if you were to appear at this event, it means you are supporting unreliable goods. There is no way they can accept it and are ready to abandon you. What's Mo Yuru's reaction? Tang Ying asked Lin Wei straightforwardly. She can't wait to see you suffer. Going to this event was her idea from the start. Not only does she want to step all over you, she wants your life to be a living hell. Then let's see next Wednesday. Whose life will be a living hell? Tang Ying responded with a deeper meaning. In the meantime, don't worry about the fans. Let them yell at me as much as they want. Mo Yuru had just stepped up a level from being a mistress and was still basking in the glory of things going her way. So Tang Ying thought she'd let her be happy for a few more days. After all, Tang Ying had yet to play the best card in her hand. However, Tang Ying didn't only want to make it impossible for Mo Yuru to be a model anymore. She also wanted Mo Yuru to be too embarrassed to be alive because her jobs were being frozen after filming the commercial for HF. She once again had nothing to do, but she wasn't impatient or angry. Even though fans were scolding her for endorsing an unreliable product, she didn't respond with a single word, sucking up the insults. Lin Wei had studied Tang Ying and studied the way she handled things previously. She realized she was a lot more tolerant than most people and could endure loneliness well. The entertainment headlines were still focused on Han Yufan and Mo Yuru's video. The public put Mo Yuru through all kinds of pain and abuse, whereas Tang Ying's reactions from the public consisted of two extremes. Some were extremely sympathetic as they assumed Tang Ying was being forced, leading to her having no choice in which company she was to endorse, whereas younger fans questioned why, under these circumstances, she hadn't left Tianyi. It was amongst this complex debate that an album of photos from Tang Ying's recent shoot was leaked by a passerby. In an instant, the hottest person online had changed as everyone praised how stunning Tang Ying's beauty and long legs were. On top of everything, there were multiple magazines that pointed out how even when posing randomly, every move that she made was more natural than any pose pulled by a professional model. So, while the three were enveloped in scandals, Mo Yuru and Han Yufan's responses were all negative, whereas Tang Ying, on the basis of one album of photos, made everyone forget she had been a substitute for Mo Yuru and that she had apologized. After admitting to creating hype, the only image in their minds of Tang Ying were her gracefulness as she looked back at the camera with tears in her eyes. While all this was going on, within the same day, Lin Wei received invites from no less than 5 magazines, requesting Tang Ying to appear on the front cover of their next season's issue. Compared to pitiful Mo Yuru, who was getting one contract canceled after another, Lin Wei was suddenly impressed by Tang Ying. It was like she had some kind of magical ability that would always turn things around, because Tang Ying's path to a comeback could no longer be blocked by Han Yufan. When faced with all the invitations from the magazines, he started to question himself. Should he really be freezing Tang Ying? Lin Wei reported to Han Yufan with the invites from the magazines and analyzed which path Tang Ying should take. But she was stopped by Mo Yuru, who was sitting in Han Yufan's office chair. Didn't we already agree that we would not be accepting any jobs for her? Are you ignoring my words? Her relationship with Han Yufan is still young, yet here she is, already acting like she is the president's wife. Lin Wei sneered on the inside. Let's choose E-Style. Han Yufan selected one of the most influential magazines as he spoke directly to Lin Wei. Yufan, what did you promise me? Babe, everything I do is for you. Think about it. The incident with the video has received enough criticism. All we need is for Tang Ying to make an appearance and clarify that we broke up a long time ago. Then the relationship between you and I would not be adulterous at all. Just a normal couple. The netizens will realize they've been wrong and will feel guilty towards you. Everything you do from then on would be more acceptable. I am laying a path for you. Han Yufan explained to Mo Yuru in a serious tone. There's not much time left until the top 10 model awards. This is the fastest way to wipe your slate clean. By the time you made a comeback, do you think Tanging would still have a place to stand? After hearing this, Mo Yuru's anger immediately dissipated. Only you could think of something that covers all bases like this. Han Yufan had no idea Lin Wei was already on Tanging's side. The scheming between the two quickly reached Tanging's ears. Those to want to use you to wipe their slates clean. What are you planning to do? Lin Wei was curious how Tanging was going to stop herself from being used by Han Yufan. Help me reject the job. If Han Yufan asks, just say I'm not feeling well, Tanging replied. Picking 1 out of 5 magazines and then having to immediately reject 4 was already not quite right. But Lin Wei understood what had to be done. So far, she had been impressed by Tanging's ability to skillfully deflect whatever was thrown at her. Effortlessly, she had passed the hot potato back. When Mo Yuru heard of this, she nearly went crazy. She slammed her hands on the table as she spoke to Lin Wei. She obviously did it on purpose. Then, Miss Mo, how accommodating did you think a model that's had her fiancé stolen and is getting all her jobs frozen should be? After hearing everything, Han Yufan patted Mo Yuru on the back to comfort her. He turned to Lin Wei and ordered, "Tell Tanging to come see me." "I'm afraid she can't. She isn't feeling well," Lin Wei replied. "Then tell me where she is. I'll go look for her. Let me first ask Tanging for her opinion." After speaking, Lin Wei turned around and phoned Tanging. However, at this time, Mo Ting had just returned home and was hugging Tanging in the garden as they watered the plants. Lin Wei clearly expressed her thoughts, and because Mo Ting's ears were against Tanging's, he overheard their conversation. At that moment, his ink-like eyes suddenly twinkled under the sun as he gave an amused smile. Leaning in close to Tanging's left ear, he suggested, "Give our Hyatt Regency address to your manager." Tanging looked at him with uncertainty. "Firstly, tell him that you've moved houses and because you are the daughter of the Tang family. Living in Hyatt Regency is more suited to your status. You are no longer at a level where he can reach. Secondly, the security in Hyatt Regency is tight. Did you think anyone could come in? Huh?" Tanging gently laughed as she realized Mo Ting's attitude towards outsiders was definitely different to the kindness he showed at home. But, haha, she liked it. So she followed Mo Ting's suggestion and gave their address to Lin Wei. Upon hearing the address, Lin Wei was shocked for a moment before she passed it on to Han Yufan. Tanging said she already moved houses. "If you want to see her, then you can go to Hyatt Regency. She's moved there." Hyatt Regency, but that is Beijing's most famous and well-known estate. That's not a place that a small celebrity could live in. Mo Yuru was envious. She moved to Hyatt Regency. How is that possible? Miss Mo, have you forgotten she is an heir to the Tang Empire? Her living in Hyatt Regency is merely a choice to live in an environment that is suited to her status. In other words, when Han Yufan and Tanging were still together, she had been forced to suffer by downgrading herself. Since Han Yufan didn't know how to cherish her, she, of course, returned to where she belonged without any cares. This was a level that Mo Yuru would never be able to reach, because it was already determined at birth. Inside, Han Yufan wasn't feeling good. Thinking back on when he and Tanging were still together, she was never willing to give anything. However, as soon as they broke up, she actually moved into Hyatt Regency.